An intrauterine device or an IUD or a COIL, what is it exactly? Make sure that you join me in our today's discussion as we look at this exhaustively. So welcome back, good people, to Community Medicine, a channel where discuss matters health. Kindly don't forget to subscribe, to like and to share this video. And thank you very much for your support or your continued support. By the way, this topic had been requested by one of the viewers. Make sure that you join me in the discussion. So an IUD is a small T-shaped plastic and copper device that is normally inserted into a uterus as a method of family planning or as a way of preventing pregnancy from occurring. So we normally have two types: the copper IUD, which is the non-hormonal one, and the hormonal method or the hormonal IUD. So for the copper IUD, it normally has a copper wrapped around it, and what really happens is that this copper IUD normally releases copper ions into the uterus. So these copper ions normally prevent pregnancy from occurring by destroying or damaging the sperms, and it also prevents pregnancy by the fact that it thickens the cervical mucus, thus preventing the sperms from accessing the ovum or the egg. And it also prevents pregnancy by the fact that it thins the inner lining of the uterus. So normally what happens is that once the sperms have been able to meet the egg or the ovum at the fallopian tube, fertilization normally takes place. So thereafter, the fertilized egg moves down or descends into the uterus. So if the conditions in the uterus are favorable, the fertilized egg will implant on the lining of the uterus. If this inner lining has been thinned or it's more thin than it should be, it means that implantation will not take place, and thus pregnancy will not occur. So the copper IUD provides protection for a period of up to 10 years. So the other method is the hormonal one. For example, the Mirena. This one provides protection for a period of up to 5 years. And how it works, or it works by preventing ovulation. Ovulation is the release of an egg or an ovum by the ovary. It also thickens the cervical mucus, thus preventing the sperms from accessing the ovary or the ovum, and also by thinning the inner lining of the uterus. By the way, the copper IUD is the most commonly used IUD in Kenya, and this is because of the fact that it's more accessible and more affordable compared to the hormonal or hormonal IUD. So let's look at some of the facts regarding the IUD. One of them is that it can be inserted at any time during your menstrual cycle. So you don't have to wait for a specific time to have it inserted. And then once it's inserted, it becomes effective immediately. You don't have to wait for a certain duration for it to start being effective. And then in case you or your partner are suspecting that you're having an STI, make sure that you treat it before the IUD is inserted. And this is because the IUD will help to push the infection from the vaginal area, or to push the bacteria from the vaginal area up into the pelvis. Something else is that an IUD is safe for a breastfeeding mother, as it does not interfere with breast milk. And then it's private, because once it's inserted, only you know that you have it in situ. So an IUD is reversible, in that in case you no longer need to use it, maybe you want to conceive, or that you're experiencing undesirable side effects, you can always have it removed at any time. And once it has been removed, return to fertility is immediate, or you can be able to conceive as soon as it has been received or removed in case of unprotected intercourse. IUD is the most effective form of emergency contraception in that in case fertilization has taken place, you can see how an IUD is normally inserted in the uterus. The IUD will prevent the fertilized egg from descending from the fallopian tube and getting down into the uterus where implantation is meant to take place. So actually what will happen is that the fertilized egg may end up developing from the fallopian tube, and this is what we normally refer to as ectopic pregnancy. And actually that is one of the disadvantages of an IUD. So once an IUD has been inserted, you may be advised to go to the hospital maybe 3 to 6 weeks after insertion for the doctor to affirm or ascertain or to make sure that it's properly inserted, that you don't end up getting pregnant. So what are the disadvantages of an IUD? Just like we said, one of them is being at a risk of developing an ectopic pregnancy. Another one is heavy bleeding or heavy menstrual bleeding. One may also experience intramenstrual bleeding or bleeding in between periods, or even spotting. And this is actually one of the main reasons that people normally stop using the IUD, because of the bleeding irregularities. Something else is that one can be at a risk of developing an infection. In rare cases, the body may reject the IUD and end up expelling it, or the IUD may end up being displaced, so one would end up being at a risk of conceiving. An IUD doesn't prevent against sexually transmitted infections. And then last but not least, in very rare case scenarios, an IUD may penetrate the uterine wall and thus requiring surgical removal. So who cannot use an IUD? Anybody who is allergic to copper. Remember, for the non-hormonal, we said that it has copper wrapped around it. So if you're allergic to copper, you shouldn't use the copper IUD, but you can use the hormonal one. Yeah. So something else is another class of people that cannot use an IUD is people who have endometrial, ovarian, or cervical cancer. And then individuals who have abnormal vaginal bleeding. If you have an abnormally shaped uterus, or if you have PID or pelvic inflammatory disease. Thank you very much for your time. Make sure you don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to share this video. And make sure that you join me in the next one, where we shall be looking at cervical cancer. Thank you and bye-bye.